Hi, I'm Victor Lambs, and you're listening to The Secrets of Stargate, where we talk about hidden meanings and deeper layers found in the Stargate movies, TV series, secret government AI projects, and more. And joining me today are Jeff Hecker. Hello, Jeff.
Hi, Victor.
And Lisa Jones. Hi, Lisa.
Hey, Victor.
Hi, and today we are discussing the 6th episode of Season 9 of SG1, Beachhead. An Ori Prior arrives on the planet Kalana, not to be confused with Kolana, and after yeeting some Jaffa into the sunset, begins engulfing the planet in a force field. Nerus, or Nerus, a minor Goa'uld with a major appetite, arrives at the SGC with a promise to help in the battle against the Ori. Dr. Samantha Carter returns and along with the Jaffa and the Prometheus attempt to stop the Prior with a Mark 9 nuke, but their efforts only strengthen the Ori force field. It's revealed that it was all part of an Ori plan to collapse the planet, create a black hole, and construct a supergate, a massive Stargate in space that will allow their army to invade the Milky Way galaxy. Thus, General Landry discovers that Nerus is actually working for the Ori. In a desperate move, Vala disrupts the supergate's construction by sacrificing a Jaffa ship and herself, destroying the portal and the planet. Although the immediate threat is neutralized, the Ori's intentions are clear and Vala is unexpectedly, probably transported to the Ori galaxy, leaving SG1 with a new conundrum. What did you think of this episode, Jeff?
This is a fun one. You get kind of everybody back in kind of what maybe not season 9, but kind of what season 10 will look like with the full team, with Carter back in the mix. And it had some good action, had good ship action. It had some fun kind of political stuff with Nerus, and Vala really kind of has really, I think, redeemed herself here for the most part. And we'll see more later when she returns. But I think, yeah, this was a great episode and kind of an improvement over some of the last couple of SG1, and kind of sets up the rest of the season and the bigger conflict with the Ori now that they're kind of fully in the galaxy, or we know that they're fully coming into the galaxy. They're not just sending priors, they're trying to send their army. So yeah, it was a good one.
Excellent. What did you think of this episode, Lisa?
Overall, I found it irritating. But there was some, I can't, maybe this will be like therapy to me and I can figure out why I found it really irritating because the pieces are all there. Like there's some really good Stargate elements to this. I liked having Carter back. I don't feel like she really gelled with the team it just was awkward. She and Vala, this was the first time they'd ever met. And I feel like there should have been a little more something.
Chemistry?
Yeah, there was something missing with that. I loved what they do really well, like the basketball scene. With Vala and Teal'c being on the team, that was fabulous. Okay, Colonel Mitchell and Daniel look so much alike. It's like they're trying to be twins. I like the idea of having the Goa'uld back and like pulling the wool over their eyes and oops, didn't see that coming. And, things are not what they seem. And then the idea of the supergate and what's really going on. And so things like that, I really, really liked. I think you could tell it was a Brad Wright episode. He knows what he's doing. He's really good at this, but there's just something about it that just doesn't work for me at my core. And I don't know if it's because I'm just irritated at the Ori or I'm irritated at the replacing of half of the cast, or I just don't know, because this should have been like what Jeff said to me. This should have been like yay episode, but I don't know. Maybe I was just cranky.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, it's definitely not more than the sum of its parts. I was excited to see two of the major things that they introduced in season 9, and that's actually new shots of the outside of Cheyenne Mountain Complex. We actually get some, because up until this point, they'd been using like the same 4 or 5 stock shots of guards walking back and forth since season 1. And in this one, we finally get some new footage. We even get a nice shot of it at night, and we get new carpeting in the SGC briefing room. So
I missed that.
I know there's a beautiful shot where they're shooting down, and you can just see that it's new carpeting, and they're proud to show it off because the old carpeting had gotten a little. No, yeah, there's a lot of really cool things happening in this episode, but yeah, I don't think it gels completely. I love Maury Chaykin as Nerus or Nerus, however they pronounce it. He is just a delight. Brings a lot of like really good, funny but menacing energy into the show. I do like that appears to be at first an SG1 fanboy. I was very excited to see Teal'c and Daniel Jackson, and then of course Mitchell's not who we expected to see. He's like, you're not him. Will he be here? But
that was a good scene.
Yeah, I do feel that Ben Browder is finally like kind of dialed in Cam Mitchell, and so we get we get some funny moments with him and Daniel in the spacesuit. So and the Supergate is very cool. But yeah, it's Lou Gossett Jr. Love him, but he is something else in this episode, which we'll talk about. But yeah, I like it. Lots of really cool things going on, but it never, as you said, it never really gels. It's not really equal to the sum of its parts, I don't think.
Yeah. Yeah. And Garrick was definitely the Jaffa as a whole. We've loved them for years. And then there's something like they're the new adversary, which I just don't love. I don't know.
Yeah, because it's not, we've seen Jaffa before as, the free Jaffa who are very, noble and, in pursuit of honor and, getting to Stovacor or whatever they call it in the Jaffa afterlife. They're very focused on that. And we've seen Jaffa who are just obeying their Goa'uld masters. But the new kind of like resentful, like petulant teenager Jaffa, I don't know. It doesn't really seem in character for them.
That's a good way to say that.
Yeah.
I kind of think about it as they're a warrior culture, and you follow kind of and it may be a very caste-like system, and you follow the warriors, and there's usually one strong warrior who leads everyone, and so they've been conditioned for thousands of years to be subservient to kind of one strong person. So I just kind of take it as they've, even though they're learning, they've kind of had their elections or whatever they had to determine kind of who will lead the Jaffa nation. They're still kind of in that, they have that background of their oppression and it still kind of affects how they function. And you might have individual Jaffa or small groups of Jaffa who are part of it that are, may not agree with what Garrick's doing, but they're, it's kind of what they agree to. And because they're still so new to any kind of system of government that isn't, a Goa'uld telling you what to do and where to go die and all that. And it's also kind of shows that Teal'c, like, he should have been their leader. But unfortunately he got pulled back into the stuff with SG1, and that led to Garrick taking over. So it's kind of setting up that future conflict with Garrick that we'll see as well. So, it's not fun to see kind of the Jaffa who were kind of our allies, the allies of Earth, but I kind of, I like it at least setting up kind of a little bit of a conflict there that, we'll see how it gets resolved, and we'll see some other Jaffa groups as well. So yeah, I think it's setting up something interesting. But yeah, it's sad to see because they're, the people we want to see free, but they're kind of falling back into their old ways in some ways. So
almost a little too realism for Stargate.
Yeah.
Like what happens to people whose, world gets stripped apart? And how do they self-govern? I don't need that kind of realism.
They're turning into the jerk-fa.
And where's Braytak? Come on.
Yeah, exactly. Can he not help hold some of this together?
This would have been so much more entertaining if he had been leading one of these coalitions and, I don't know.
Yeah. I do like the idea of the Goa'uld scientist we've never heard of before, who is, was Ball's, right hand Goa'uld or whatever, came up with the actual one who came up with the program to dial all the gates at once that helped them, defeat the replicators.
He didn't tell you about that?
Yeah. Yeah. And of course, Vala is sounding the alarm, but can't be more specific about her concern, so it's not super helpful. The only thing that she and Teal'c have heard about Nerus is that he's known for his many appetites, and you're like, oh no, where is this going?
Yeah.
But it turns out he just likes to eat. So I did like that.
I actually liked Vala in this episode. I know, record that, but I did because she was more even keel. She was sounding the alarm. You felt like Teal'c should have been doing a little bit of that. Like the Goa'uld cannot be trusted. Like
Yeah.
But at the same time, Nerys was a great foil for Landry. It gave Landry really something to do. And the two actors just did fabulous with each other. Like the whole chicken scene about what is this? This is it. He's like,
what
it's
is
delicacy.
chicken?
No, just chicken.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the egg on his face at the end.
Yeah, where he's delivering
so creepy.
Where he's delivering the menacing line about the Ori will trample over. He has like egg and mustard and food like all over his face. And Landry's like on his back foot because he realizes he's been played.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, the other thing is too, okay, so that maybe they didn't show up and, bombard even if the SG1 hadn't shown up with the nuke, the Jaffa still would have shown up and bombed, the planet, and it would have created the supergate. So the fact that Nerys told them about the supergate and let them stop it, actually Nerys did kind of help out in the end because it was SG1's presence there that collapsed or destroyed this first supergate.
Yeah.
I thought it was the nuke kind of supercharged the reaction, and then the weapons were kind of building on that. But I guess I took it as they wouldn't have been able to do that, or it wouldn't have built, or it would have taken a lot longer for that to develop if they didn't have the nuke. But
70%. The nuke only was responsible for 70%.
Yes, exactly. It wasn't all our fault.
Yeah, and with the Nerys scene, I don't think he comes back. I could be wrong. But I was thinking at the end, you're not going to call the Tok'ra to get this this poor guy who's stuck here. Oh, who's been in because I mean, there's always it kind of does set up an interesting moral question of you're negotiating with somebody who's essentially enslaved somebody else. And I mean, you know that there's a human who's being, who's being enslaved by this guy. And you're just going to try to negotiate with them and and maybe Landry was trying to use him as much as he could before that. But, I'm kind of hoping and headcanoning that they got the Tok'ra and had the Nerys symbiote taken out eventually. But if not, then that poor guy who's just stuck in a dark hole feeling hungry because Nerys is hungry.
I did look. It says he's in 2 episodes.
Yeah, he does come back and he is in a dark hole when we see him again. Yeah. I think they need his help or something. I don't quite remember, but yeah, he made a big impression on me because he's one of the characters I remember most from seasons 9 and 10, or at least season 9 is Nerys. I like him because he just likes to eat.
That was, like I said, I really liked his and Landry's interaction. It felt very classic Stargate SG1, to have a Goa'uld on base and being all Goa'uldy, and then the fact that he doesn't use the crazy Goa'uld voice all the time.
Yeah.
And Landry's like, wait, why did your voice change? He's like, I don't have to talk like that.
Which I'm so grateful because Maury Chaykin is playing him. It's like, you're a great uncle who likes to eat. I'm your friendly uncle.
Yeah.
And the way he's playing it with the Goa'uld voice changing just sounded totally wrong. Like if you're going to use the thing, you have to speak like very, like I am theatrical and stuff. So it didn't fit with who he was right away. So I would have turned off the Goa'uld voice sooner. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Could they have called Ball and kind of check references first and say, hey, this guy says he used to work for you. Is he a good employee? Did he betray you for the Ori?
Or listen to the person who had a Goa'uld in them. Vala?
Yeah,
or Teal'c. But Teal'c wasn't being very, I mean, like, you think he would have been a little more, you cannot trust the Goa'uld. I mean,
But Vala wasn't being very helpful. She's like, yeah, you can't trust a Goa'uld. It's like, thanks, we know that. But, we have to consider the intel about this super powerful enemy that we're now all facing because of you, Vala. So,
yeah.
And Daniel too.
That's true.
And Sam comes back, and that's pretty much all I have to say about that. She doesn't really do anything except read, techno jargon off the script.
It felt weird. And I know that this episode has Kim Mitchell's famous line of the bands back together.
Yeah.
Which is great. And they sent Vala through the gate first so that the four of them could walk through at the same time. And I don't know if that's used in the new intros but it was calling back to the very first season, right? When the Jack and Sam and Teal'c and Daniel walked through the gate together. So it was nice. And she had fabulous hair. I gotta say her hair looked great. But overall, it just, I don't know.
Yeah, we don't actually get to see them go into the puddle together in this episode, but it was on that same day of shooting that they filmed the shot that is used in the opening credits where they do. And interestingly enough, we'd seen Samantha Carter in Avalon, I think it was, on a screen. That was actually shot after this episode.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So,
I wondered how they did that with her on maternity leave. Like, you don't just call it, I mean, especially in the 2000 and whatevers, you don't just call somebody and be like, hey, I know you're on maternity leave, but can you film a scene for us? Like, that's not how that works.
We sent you a pair of BDUs. Could you just put them on? And
yeah.
Okay, but you're going to hear my kid in the background. That's fine.
Right.
We'll just say it's Area 51 weirdness or something, but.
Yeah. But I was glad for her to be back.
Oh, I was going to say that I like the scene where she comes back because Landry's on the phone with O'Neill and he's giving O'Neill a hard time of like, where you told me she would be here. Where is she? And he's doing all that. And then he looks up and she's already there reporting. And, it was all kind of a trick between O'Neill and Carter to kind of mess with Landry like that.
Yeah.
Of course, I took it as obviously Carter and O'Neill are talking,
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Not in the same chain of command anymore. We're good.
Yep.
So O'Neill's in charge of, he's homeworld security at this point, I think. He kind of took Hammond's job, or is he just working in Washington? And
I
think Hammond is still.
Yeah.
Hammond's still there. Okay. I couldn't remember.
He hasn't retired yet, I don't think.
Okay.
And another thing we find out, Sergeant Seiler is now on an active SG team. He's a part of SG3, being sent off world on missions. So good for him, I guess. But that was cool to see him, come through the gate. And
if you think about it, we haven't seen him much since Jack left.
No, he's still doing the stunt coordination for the show. So where in the beginning, all the Jaffa get thrown off into, which I remember watching that and being like absolutely horrified because it was so unexpected. And you're like, oh no, those poor people, they're flying around the planet. But he actually, coordinated that stunt, which did involve, wire rigging and, and then CG at some point. But
I thought it was pretty cool effect to start off.
Yeah, it was very cool.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, because we're like, what's the Ori doing? And then it was the most ragtag bunch of Jaffa, though. I mean, it's just like the village council or something showed up.
What I love, like, they're going to fight back. They're like, oh no, we just got rid of, because we said that a couple weeks ago, didn't we?
Yeah.
That they should know better. So this group did know better. It didn't work out for them, but.
Yeah, or anybody else on the planet, I guess.
Yeah.
And you do kind of get more of a sense of what the priors can do, because before this, they've kind of been more sneakily doing stuff. They've caused plagues, they caused different things, but we've never seen them, like truly exercise a lot of their power. And this was kind of the first time that we see that. So it does kind of set the priors up as a bigger threat too. And SG1 doesn't necessarily know that they were thrown miles or however far, but we as the viewers get to see that the priors are a much bigger threat than we may have originally thought.
I just don't know what's stopping the Ori from like turning Earth into a black hole. Like, I don't think the Iris is going to stop it.
It is interesting if you think about it. Why did the priors keep going to these? Can I say backwater planets? Like,
yeah,
and Jack said that once upon a time. Why not just go straight for? I mean, that's we assume has the most people. Why
and
not
that might be part of
it
it too. They want to convert the people.
Yeah, they want to. I think that's it. Yeah,
yeah.
They want to because the Ori get their power from who. This may be something later, but they get their power from who.
Spoiler
how many
alert.
people worship them. Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah.
But you're right.
I've seen this a bunch of times. I kind of get.
Yeah.
Forget
forgot if
when
that had
things
been
come.
discussed yet. Yeah.
But
yeah. because they want. I mean, and even without that, you know they want to convert and spread their religion, so you don't just want to murder probably the most populous planet in the galaxy. You would
Probably, yeah.
you would want to try to if you can cow them, if you can cow Stargate Command and the government, like then the world's going to fall, follow Origin. So
Well,
That
but
could have been
also if you do
interesting.
the whole plague trick,
Yeah.
everyone's got a virus and they're going to die, and then wait, we cured
Yeah,
it. We can save you. They might win over the whole,
Yeah. I mean, if you
most of the
engineer
planet.
and release a plague, you could probably shut down all the churches and temples and stuff.
And then become their savior for curing them. And you didn't even
Yeah.
have to inject them with anything. Hey,
Yeah.
people might fall for it.
Yeah. Blanket pardons for the Ori.
And I think it's kind of at least hinted at that the virus that the ancients had that was hurting them was
Mhm.
maybe Ori and Origin.
Yeah.
The one from the woman that was frozen in Antarctica.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did hint at that. I don't know if it was ever established, but they did. Dr. Lamb
Yeah, they did.
hinted at
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so they want to throw a nuclear bomb at it. And Carter's like, I'm against it. But
And Cam's against it. He's like, I never wanted to use a nuclear bomb. And O'Neill is like, from day one, he's like, throw a nuke at it. Throw a nuke at it. Throw a nuke at it.
well, Cam's like, I don't want that to be my footnote in history or something.
Why not? I mean, it's a job you signed up to do. I mean, you wanted this job more than anything in the world.
Nice guy. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I want to.
But do you realize what we missed from the original team is like the debate? There was no debate. It was just, we're going to do this and let's lodge our complaints. I would say Carter, who's been missing for basically 5 episodes, and she's always been very strong, very opinionated about technology or how we do things or, that kind of stuff. And here is a technology type problem. And she's like, I don't like it, but we're going to do it. There's, again, even Daniel, I mean, like nobody, I don't know, was just missing something. Like somebody be a voice of reason or just even irrational, but like have a debate about it.
Yeah. And I mean, in previous times, I mean, SG1 would have tried like 4 or 5 other things before, using the nuke instead of just beaming down and be like, well, we're going to nuke you in 30 minutes. Although I did like that scene.
Oh my gosh.
30 of our Earth minutes. It's a little over the top cheesy. And then Daniel gives the speech, which I guess was supposed to take a lot longer than 1 minute because then they're left with 29 minutes to just stare at the prior.
Yeah.
So I did like that.
Why? Okay. Why are you giving him a speech?
Yeah.
Like I kind of lost it in that point. I'm like, you're going to nuke the guy, but you're going to tell him you're going to nuke him. But then you're going to sit there and wait. I don't know. The whole thing was
because he knew the Ori were watching through the prior. And so his message was really, he wanted to send them a message and that comes back at the end. But I mean, that nuke has like the most convoluted activation sequence. They're like explaining each phase. I'm like, it's like, okay, we need to activate it with the keys on the ship. Then we beam it down, but then we have to use a remote to turn it on. And then we have to detonate it remotely back from on the ship. And while it's in the remote activated stage, it becomes very sensitive to impacts and could go off at any time. I'm like, who is designing this thing? It is like the worst designed weapon of mass destruction I think I've ever heard.
Hopefully not Carter.
Yeah, I don't think it was her at all. Well, maybe it was, but I mean, and she, I mean, old Carter would have, said, she would have figured it out a lot quicker. She was a little slow on the uptake this time.
And usually in the past, she would have been the one responsible for it.
Yeah.
Like arming the weapon and doing all the things. And she was just standing there.
Well, she was already responsible for blowing up a sun, so she didn't want to.
Yeah,
she didn't want to take the blame for that.
But we do get to see the Prometheus, and it zips around pretty quickly if they were able to gate to a world where it already was, which is pretty close to the thing on the other side of the galaxy. But
I think I figured it out what kind of core bothered me. Like you just said, Victor, that usually in the past they would have tried different things and oops, this doesn't work. Oops, this doesn't work. Oh, look, this worked. That kind of thing. And we kind of skipped over all of that. Like it was just trying to get to the point versus having fun exploring it. The plot of the episode. It was just more like we got to get there, like point A, point B. Like let's just get there. I don't know.
Yeah, this almost should have been the mid-season. Like you have a part 1 and a part 2. And that to maybe give some of those story beats, and you do more of what y'all are saying. So I don't remember what the mid-season is on this actually, but that could have been a way to do it, or at least make it a 2-part, even if it's not like a mid-season break, but do 2 parts to the story, and could have been you could have developed those things a little bit better.
Oh, the Fourth Horseman is the 2.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Which is a good, double, a cliffhanger one.
Yeah, it just seemed that SG1 was more just reacting to things, like you said, because they wanted to move the plot along, and so it was just like, oh, this happened, and then this happened, and then finally, Garak or Garak or however they pronounce it different ways, and as he shows up, and he's like, his line readings are very interesting. He kind of puts Shatnerian pauses in the middle of sentences or words, and it's just, but I mean, whatever. And then
you're not with me. You're my enemy.
Yeah, and he's like, and they do set up that like, oh, we've left a cloaked ship behind. It's Chekhov's cloaked cargo ship, of course. And then, his reasoning is like, we're leaving orbit. If you stay behind, then we'll know to fight this. Then we'll know you're traitors. Basically, is his reasoning, and it's very weird, his reasoning, and I think, and the whole reason they put that line is so that Vala would know the cloaked ship was still hanging around, and the audience would upon repeat viewings and stuff. But it's very odd that he's like, well, we're running away. If you stick around to fight, we'll know you're traitors because you didn't run away like I did, or something. But I don't know. I did like watching the supergate pieces fly out of the Stargate. That was pretty cool because you don't know what they are at first.
Okay. There are things, projectiles flying at you.
Yeah.
Okay. Move. Like, why do you just sit there?
So the reason they just sat there was because a lot of the shots of the Prometheus were stock shots that they then composited like the planet into in the background. And so they even say like, sublight engines to maximum. And then they cut to a shot of the Prometheus just sitting there.
Yeah.
And you're like, weren't they moving? And they originally had a shot where the Prometheus was moving, but I guess the commentary was with the visual effects team.
Okay.
And they couldn't get it to look right with the planet there. So they had to use a stock shot of the Prometheus just kind of sitting there and being hit by a piece of the gate. Right after, Colonel Pendergast or whatever had said, Pendergast had said, let's get out of the way. And then they cut to a shot of the ship very much just immobile in space.
Right. I'm like, those things are all coming in a straight line out of the gate. So, like, I don't know. Move.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is too, and this is even, I noticed this on the wiki, but as you're watching it too, so we'll get to Vala's heroic sacrifice, but her idea is to use the ring transporters and just ring onto the cargo ship, incapacitate the guard, who presumably is now dead, but, park it where the last piece of the gate would be so that when the planet, turns into a singularity and there's a massive burst of energy, it shorts out the supergate. But we've already seen these pieces like fly through motherships, right? So wouldn't it not just like fly through the cargo ship to take its place in the gate? I mean, because they even have a shot where like Vala's racing the piece to get into the piece of the gate, supergate, to get into position first. And you're like, well, okay, well, if she gets into position first, the piece is just going to go, problem solved. But we never see that piece again. So now if the Prometheus had managed to shoot that piece down, that would have been, cool.
I'm not sure how efficient Colonel Pendergrass is.
Well, and who's in charge on the ship too? Because he like defers to Cam Mitchell and like Carter multiple times. He's like, he's not like, the captain of the Daedalus,
Mitch Pileggi.
Yeah. But no. And he's like, what do you think we should do, Cam? And Cam's like, fly the ship over here and shoot the missiles and shoot the cannons. And he's like, oh, that sounds like a good idea. We'll try that. I don't know if it's because they just wanted to give Ben Browder some like heroic starship like lines, but he should have just jumped right in and said, okay, we're opening fire. And then when it didn't work, Sam could be like, what are you doing? This isn't good. That sort of thing. But no. And so then they need a solution, and they're like, and the writing here is just so bad where I don't know if they thought it was funny or something. And they're like, okay, we need a solution. And I was like, I have and they like talk over her. And then Daniel Jackson's like, we need a solution that's outside the box.
Right.
And Cam's like, well, why don't we get a big pair of bolt cutters? And Jackson's like, that's too far outside the box. And we're like, haha, that is what people say when they need to come up with a solution. But
under
like
stressful situation where that's exactly what we all say.
Yeah. And Vala doesn't like just start like yelling at them and saying, I'm going to go do this, back me up, shoot down that last piece of the gate, and then make it all make sense. But no, she just like runs kind of slowly through the Prometheus because obviously if she ran fast, they wouldn't be able to, have that much hallway.
And I liked that she had the solution, and I liked that she did it and all that. But you're right, them obviously not listening to her and like can't think of their own solution, but won't listen to her solution. I mean, that again, it felt very contrived. And I know they were trying to go, but that's not the usually way the teams work.
No.
Yeah. Well, Vala's not really on the team yet. She's still very much the outsider, and I think this sets up for things later where she is, and they treat her as more of an equal. Here, she's still kind of the annoying tag along. There was a funny line from I forget who, but I think it was Carter. It was like, well, why is she here? And it's like, well, we just don't want to risk dying across the galaxy.
Yeah,
or falling and dying or something.
What's with the backup singer?
That's right.
Yeah, and you're like, ooh,
yeah, but she never addressed. Like again, first time to meet her. Like she never. Did they ever have any lines or any
no
interaction?
It's like, who's the trollop? It's like, man, I know you've been in a way, you got this. But yeah, and so she flies the thing into place, and the gate, short circuits and blows up, and that's very cool. I mean, the supergate is incredibly cool. It's a very cool idea, but I mean, there's a lot of really cool ideas, and I do like Neris in this episode, but I loved the black hole, the connect to a black hole on ones, because they did say, how are they keeping it open? Remember, like, how is the Prior able to keep the gate open for 2 days straight? And so I loved that revelation that they're connected to a black hole and that they're going to create a singularity and connect there. And I mean, that's what we love about sci-fi, is all this kind of, you get to have all these cool inventions to do things. I assume we can't do that in real life. Yeah.
So, and then the supergate, and then they can go back and forth, and that just opens the ideas of, oh my gosh, what are the Ori going to do next? Like, why do they need a supergate? Oh, then they can bring ships, and, I forget which one of them said you could bring a whole fleet or armada through it. And I liked all of that. It's just, that's what I'm saying, that there are pieces of it that I really, really liked.
And we haven't seen the Ori ships yet. And when we do see them, they are very cool. But I think they should, I don't know if they have this line coming up, but one of them should be like, what does God need with a starship? From Star Trek V. I don't think we'll get that, but
I got it.
Yeah, thanks. Have to work in Star Trek somehow. But so I think it's probably one of the better fighting the Ori episodes. But yeah, it just bringing Carter in this way just seems kind of wasted almost. And there's a lot that, as you said at the beginning, just doesn't really gel.
I think they could have waited with Carter, get Vala out and then bring Carter back. I don't know why we had to. It's almost like it's too crowded, which we're going to see that in season 10. It's like too many cooks in the kitchen. Too many, like you said about the Colonel Pendergrass, and then you got Cam, and who's in charge? And you're going to feel that between Carter and Mitchell. We're going to have a lot of that. Who is in charge? And it ain't going to be the woman.
I think no, they wanted them both so that they didn't like immediately say, okay, Vala's fridge now and she's gone. Like and Carter's just replacing her. I think they wanted us to know that eventually they're all going to be together.
But they didn't know that at this time, right?
Yeah.
Oh, they didn't?
Yeah, okay. I think they were bringing her out and saying, well, we could bring her back at some point because, okay, so it's a superheated, toxic environment on this side of the gate. You have to assume that on the other side of the gate, it's also like a superheated, toxic black hole. And Daniel's like, well, maybe her matter stream got sucked into the black hole and she's fine on the other side. And you're like, yeah, we've seen what happens to gates that are connected to black holes, and like fine isn't something that enters into the equation. You're either ripped apart and what would her matter stream, reintegrate with? Why would the Ori, bring her back? I do like that they say, well, we wanted to send him a message, which...
And they're all like, we sent them a message. We sent them Vala.
Because she's literally data at this point. She's energy, and that's a message, right? If they have a Vala modem, they can, demodulate her. Anyways, data stream. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So.
That should have been Carter, right? Like, this is what could happen to her. I mean, that's not a Daniel comment. That's a Carter science comment. So.
Yeah. And then I also like, okay, go ahead. Yeah. And then I'll tell you what else I didn't like.
Yes. Yeah. I was just going to say it does kind of pay off though. Like, why would the Ori save her? As we'll find out, there is a reason. So, or like if she's alive, that does pay off in the rest of the show. So, they may not have known it at the time, but but if we're saying that, then they do kind of pay that off.
Yeah,
so.
I think they just left the door. I think their purpose was just to leave the door open to bring her back because they really, Claudia Black's a great actress and she really fits overall, and I enjoy her. The character drives me crazy some.
Yeah, the pigtails are a bit much, but
yeah.
Yeah.
At least she was wearing regular outfits.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and then so she's gone, and you're like, oh no, Daniel's gonna die, right? He faints, and then no, he's fine. Conveniently, the effects of the bracelets have started to wear off, not for any reason, but just because of what Wallace Shawn said a couple episodes ago. So that was fortunate. That was lucky for them.
Good timing.
Yeah. Yeah. Any other thoughts about this episode?
No, I still enjoy it, but
I did have one family member who said, "Why is Teal'c suddenly growing hair?"
Because Christopher Judge wanted to grow.
Well, that was my response. Yeah. Christopher Judge didn't want to shave his head anymore, so they let him grow hair. And they're like, "That doesn't make sense. Did Jafan did he need to shave his head, or was?" And I'm like, "It's the tritonian, okay?
Yeah,
tritonian causes hair to grow.
I need some."
Yeah. To which my husband was like, "Well, they should market that because
yeah." Made from the stem cells of dead Goa'uld, or at least it's based on stem cell lines from.
Just say stem cell research, everyone. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It'll lengthen your telomeres too. Yeah. So.
Just for Jaffa.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we had Daniel and Mitchell looking like twins, and then you've got Carter with a good hairdo. I just think it looks fabulous.
I thought she had just stepped out of the shower and it was still wet.
Oh, you didn't like it? It was all curls. I liked it. It's the only time I think we've seen her with like wavy hair.
Yeah.
It was good. Yeah. And then Vala with the pigtails. I don't know. It was a good hair episode.
How about you, Jeff? Any last words?
I already kind of said, yeah. No, I still enjoy it though. Yeah. I mean, I definitely see, it's not a perfect episode, but it's an improvement, and I think it's showing improvement, which is good. And you want them to at least, at least be making some improvements over time, and they are. So I think it's good in that sense. So yeah, I still enjoyed it.
Plus, the Neris scenes were a lot of fun.
They were. Oh,
I like that.
And in the basketball scene, we forgot to say Beau Bridges had a great shot.
Yes, he did.
And I felt like he played basketball in college.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So
yeah.
Got to show off his skills. What about foreign titles?
We do. There are actually quite a few interesting ones. In Italian, we got La Trappola, which is the trap. In Spanish, it was Cabeza de Playa, which is beachhead. Or head of the beach, I guess. And in Japanese, we got Supergate, which is Supergate. So,
That works.
yeah, I like it. I like the Japanese titles a lot. I think we'll keep doing those.
We've
and we do
lost-
have some.
We've lost
Oh.
the Germans.
Well, there were some German ones,
Oh.
but I'd been picking on them a lot.
Oh,
And I want to
Okay,
give them a
never
little
mind.
break there. Yeah. Now we do have some feedback from our episode 192, which was Stargate Atlantis Duet, I suppose I should say. Varyar77 on YouTube writes, such a fun episode. I think the only flaw, and it's a minor one, is that we never saw Cadman before this and only see her once after this. A slightly more established recurring character might have been more fun, but it's still such great comedy. And I would
That's-
definitely agree with
That's
that.
a good point. My guess is because she was a great guest star.
Yeah. Yeah.
She went over to Eureka at some point too. I
Mhm.
don't know if that was overlapping this.
Yeah, she was at Eureka.
And Maury Chaikin was also in the pilot of Eureka too, as the
Oh.
sheriff who the other sheriff guy replaces.
Oh,
I believe, and he's been in lots of stuff too. USMC 9355 writes, and this is headcanon. I think Ronan was being purposely rude with how he ate. That's in the dining hall where he's to make everyone else uncomfortable. And as we saw in Condemned, he does use kind of food as a to make Rodney feel uncomfortable in that episode too.
Mhm.
So, but
I have to pay attention
so-
to that more.
yeah, using food as a weapon there. But before we wrap up, we'd like to take a moment to thank our patrons who make it possible for us to create Secrets of Stargate, including Daryl F., Jacob C., Stephanie A., Jonathan L., and Pam. Their generous donations at sqpn.com/give make it possible for us to continue the Secrets of Stargate and all the shows on StarQuest. And you can join them by visiting sqpn.com/give. And be sure to follow the show on Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or find the video versions at YouTube/StarQuest Media. And to find previous episodes of Secrets of Stargate and to send feedback, please visit sqpn.com/Stargate. And you can email us at stargate@sqpn.com or follow StarQuest on social media at facebook.com/StarQuestMedia or on X at SQPN. And we'll be back next time with the next episode of Stargate Atlantis, Trinity. Until then, Jeff Hecker, thank you for joining us and sharing the secrets of Stargate.
Thanks, Victor.
And Lisa Jones, thank you as well.
Thanks, Victor.
And once again, I'm Victor Lambs. Thank you for listening to the Secrets of Stargate on StarQuest. And it's exquisite! I want more chicken! More chicken!
Anyway, I'm sorry, but that just happens to be how I feel about it. What do you think?
It's a rare delicacy.
Rare
Yes.
delicacy. That's right.
Along with the seedless grapes that are a state secret.
That's right.